It is here that today that we are here to thank those who made sure that our fight had a favorable result.
In 2007, on the heels of a controversial decision by New Haven's Board of Aldermen to grant municipal identification cards to all residents of New Haven, regardless of immigration status, Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents, also known as ICE, conducted a series of immigration raids in New Haven, arresting dozens of Latino residents. Since that day, students in Yale Law School's Worker and Immigrant Rights Advocacy Clinic have represented many of those arrested, filing Freedom of Information requests, federal and state lawsuits, and working on policy intervention in addition to representing those arrested in their immigration cases. On February 14, 2012, the federal government agreed to settle a civil rights lawsuit that arose from those raids. The landmark settlement will include a payment of $350,000 to 11 of those arrested in the raids and immigration relief for the plaintiffs. In this video, Yale Law School professors Michael Wishney and Munir Ahmad talk about the clinic's involvement representing those arrested beginning in 2007 and continuing through the settlement.
We were arrested and taken to
In the spring of 2007, the city of New Haven was actively deliberating on a proposal that the clinic had developed together with two community groups, Junta for Progressive Action and Unidad Latina en Acción, that the city offer an optional municipal identification card to all of its residents. And as the Board of Aldermen debated that and the town was filled with newspaper stories, it turns out ICE, the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, the Federal Immigration Agency, was secretly preparing the largest raid in the city's history, and we believe in the history of the state. And indeed, 2 days after the Board of Aldermen overwhelmingly approved the mayor's proposal for an ID card, dozens of immigration agents, supported by state and federal and some local police officers, though not from New Haven, swept into town, went door to door in the early morning hours of June 6, 2007, and on that day ultimately arrested 29 people. It's been almost 5 years since the raid. Well, ultimately the clinic came to offer representation to everyone who was arrested in the raids that we could find. ICE came back a few days later, arrested a few more people, and it was 32 in total that were arrested in this operation. And probably a dozen students over the last few years represented those individuals in immigration proceedings. But we didn't limit our representation simply to playing defense in immigration court. We immediately also began a series of offensive actions that began with Freedom of Information Act requests to the state and federal agencies who participated so as to obtain the records, including the email traffic within ICE about the planning for the raid, about the purpose of the raid. Those FOIA requests ultimately became, I think, 3 different federal lawsuits or 4 different federal lawsuits and 1 state lawsuit just to get the records to then defend in immigration court. That was a different team of students. Third, we eventually brought a civil rights action, which we settled and announced that yesterday. The civil rights action probably had another dozen students who worked on it over the years. And finally, we did a series of policy interventions based on what we learned from this other work that led to a series of national policy changes. And we had a smaller team, 2 or 3 students who worked on that. So in total, probably 25 students over the years.
We announced at a press conference yesterday the settlement in the civil rights case, which was the affirmative lawsuit that was brought against the United States government and the ICE agents who were involved in carrying out the raids on a range of constitutional and state law grounds. The suit was brought on behalf of 11 individuals who were subject to the raids, and the lawsuit was filed in the fall of 2009. And when we announced the settlement, it was on terms according to which the government will pay $350,000 in total to the 11 plaintiffs, and also offer them immigration relief. That comes in the form either of a termination of the removal proceedings against them, or in the form of something called deferred action, which is a kind of immigration relief that in this case will afford the individuals who take that option 4 years of permission to be here in the United States, along with work authorization. So it's a settlement that in the first instance met the client's needs and was a success for that reason alone. But it's quite significant because because of the monetary value of the settlement, as well as the combination of that monetary value with the immigration relief. That's something that others have fought for in the past without success. It's quite rare for the for the Department of Homeland Security to actually offer immigration relief in the way that they did in these cases. And the combination of that with a significant monetary amount, what we believe to be one of the largest, if not the largest, cash settlements in an ICE home raid case is a real accomplishment for our clients and a testament to the work that they did alongside our students.